that meeting was I was asked to speak about service. But what I started with was that I had been reading the Bible dictionary. This was probably 20 years ago, maybe longer, maybe 25 years ago. And if you had asked me prior to reading that statement from the Bible dictionary, if you'd asked me, let's brainstorm about prayer, I would have never come up with the statement that was in there. And so it had such a profound impact on me. I have a tendency, I think it's a blessing, but I have a tendency if I see something or hear something or involved in something, I think I have a tendency to become very mindful of that thing and kind of mull it over in my head consistently, and I don't easily forget these kind of big moments. And I would say that that's probably something that you should probably try to adopt if you struggle with that. Being mindless and just kind of floating through life and having significant moments and not recognizing them, not allowing those things to be absorbed. And if they're not absorbed and you don't spend time, there's some scriptural reference to the power of pondering. If you're not spending time really reconsidering the way you see things, the way you think about things, then nothing's likely to change. You just mindlessly float throughout life and make no adjustments. So many years ago, I'm reading this, and the example I gave this morning is if you had given me 15 to 20 minutes to brainstorm about prayer, I would have come up with, well, prayer is, the forming of words and thoughts and their feelings, and it's a conversation between you and God. But I would have never come up with that. What it says there is prayer is a form of work. I would have never associated prayer with it at that point. That it's actually an action, and I won't go into detail as to what I think that means or what you think that means, but that's a statement worthy of thinking about. Is what does that mean? I mean, and do I see prayer as a form of work? Now that doesn't have direct, applicability to business, or does it? Maybe there's a lot of things in your life that you think are just an action, but in reality they're a thought and a deep consideration and a feeling. And maybe vice versa. Maybe there's a lot of things that you think are just thoughts and words, but they should be more action. And so my subject matter being about service was if you asked me prior to reading, prior to that talk, if you had asked me, let's talk about service, I would have said, well, it's an action. But reality is, if you flip it from the thought process about prayer, I mean, here's what I'll just diagram is in terms of prayer, I would have thought that it was just thoughts and words, but it turns out it's also what? Work. It's also an action or work, right? And if you think about service, if you said, firstly, tell me about service, the first thing I would have thought was what? It's an action. It's work, right? It's the exact opposite. But really, it's also words and what? And thoughts. It's a matter of thinking. And what thought is it? Service is an act. This was my message in the church meeting. Service is an act of love. So really, service is also a feeling. It's an emotion. But if we just walk around all day and we just have feelings of service, who does that help?
No one.
It's nice, but what does service have to have in order to really be service? It's got to have action. And we're in a action, business. We're in the service industry of helping people, and serving them. That's most businesses. you're providing a service, and that service has to be action. You can't just be thinking that you want to do the right thing. You can't just feel like you want to do the right thing. At the end of the day, you have to do the right thing. You have to provide a service. You have to provide action. And so my recommendation is that you provide a greater service today than you have last week. That you put in a little bit more effort. That you get in front of some more people and try to have a positive impact on them. If you care about people, if you love people, then let it be shown through your actions, through the service that you provide. And so there are people out there that are really begging for help, looking for solutions. You have the power to be able to provide that solution. If you just have good intentions, that's not ever going to lead to anything of substance for anybody else. And a lot of people lead lives of good intentions without substance. So if you really want to impact people, you want to really make a difference, then you have to be thinking, what can I do to really provide service and action and really impact people in a positive way? And that will make a difference. Just having good intentions will never pay your bills. They will never provide a quality of life for you and your family, but they'll also make little to no difference to anyone else. And so what is your plan of action today to serve others and to bring a difference in their life and to really impact people in a positive way? What are you going to do today? Today matters. You know, your life is made up of a series of today. And so today really matters. Your life in general is going to come out like today went. And so if you've been procrastinating and you've been not pushing and you've been, wasting a lot of time, what can you do today to really engage? And the last thing I'll leave you with is this. Life, in contrary to what I just said, life doesn't have to come out like tomorrow's been going. Your life is going to eventually be the sum of a lot of what you did today. But the other powerful thing about life is that life doesn't have to come out like tomorrow did. You can change. You can make adjustments and you can change what's happening. You can change direction. And that takes some real power. It takes a lot of mental focus. But it's just a decision. What can I do to adjust? And why would I need to adjust? That's key. But I would tell you, have some very specific goals today. Maybe identify your top 2 or 3 things that need to happen today in terms of your plan of action. When are you going to do those things? When are you going to execute them? And then you have to execute. And so hopefully you're going to take that approach. I think it's important that I finish with this. I have a phone call here in about a half an hour with a mentor that has had a tremendous impact on my life, generates a 7-figure monthly income, but he's also a great family man, a great faith man, arguably the most successful guy in the history of building a business in our industry. And what we're going to be talking about is what it would look like to be able to give some of you an opportunity to also receive some personal mentoring at a certain point. And so I'm going to finalize, I think, those plans today with him. We're going to have a final planning meeting, conference call. And so I'll have big news this week. If not in our South Jordan office tomorrow night, Idaho Falls Wednesday night, or Clearfield Wednesday night, or wherever you're at, I will have probably more than likely at a minimum have all that information by our Saturday, high level inner circle school training. So look forward to that. Get your butt in gear, move in the right direction, because that could be, the break that you're looking for to really charge your life. Worst case scenario, if you're not qualified to attend that personally, you're going to benefit from those that do. But you will have an opportunity to get into that position, but it's up to the decisions you make today. All right? All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, brother.